All right. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for being here. Warm hello. Mazel tov. Bon dia, buenos dias. Como ça va? How you doing? Thanks for hanging out. Everybody, thanks for chilling with me. That's Church of Eight Wheels. I like to have fun. I always say that learning, it can be fun. Learning sometimes is not so much fun. And I think, I'm going to adjust the mic. I think it's easier to learn when you're having fun, and that's just me. So, dancing, it gets me out of breath, sure, even the hand waves. But, dancing's fun. So thanks for hanging out, Church of Eight Wheels. We're going to look at Bitcoin, Ethereum. I'll kind of run through the whole market and tell you my thoughts. It's been a little while since I've done a stream. I've been pretty busy lately. But you've seen me around. Of course, you've seen me on Twitter at Big Cheds. May or may not know I'm a founding analyst at Bitcoin Live, and we have something coming up in a couple months for our 8-year anniversary, which is crazy. I've been doing my market reports there with the team, best team in the world that studies crypto for 8 years. I'm really, really proud of that. So something's coming up in a couple months. Keep an eye out. So YouTube, I've just got a ton of alpha for you. I'd like to recommend that you go to the trading encyclopedia. You may not know about it. I don't always promote it, but if there's a concept you're not sure about, you can come. You can find a video what does it mean for RSI to be oversold? How do I play a fake out? What's an outside bar? What time frame should I use? Pretty much any candle and candlestick theory. And I've created this video library for you with the idea that you can learn at your own pace. I want to empower you to learn. So just really check, hundreds of videos. I'm going to record a few more today. I have another 100 and 150 I want to record. It's a lot. But check that out. I have published 4 books, which is pretty cool. You can get them on Amazon or just free here at my YouTube, Cheds Trading. So just a reminder for you to, take advantage, of this video library. And just to remind you, I am a partner at BingX. They have a new DEX, decentralized exchange, that they're working with. It's AlphaX. And so this YouTube, this stream is sponsored by them, of course. And you can see the sign-up links here. It's a great exchange. I love BingX. I've worked with them for 6 years. So all my partnerships are very long-lasting. I stand behind them. I put my name on something. That means I take it seriously. So check that out. And, if you're here listening, pop a message in the chat, and you can ask me a question. I like these to be interactive streams. I can just riff. I can go up and down the charts. I can scroll through my watch list, and we can just talk. I can just tell you, what I see. But I like to talk to you. And I already see some comments building in the chat. Pedro says, "Good dancing." Thank you, Pedro. It's not that I'm dancing. The music is moving me, and I'm just a vehicle. I'm a vessel. So, Martwan, nice to see you, and Cliff and Burnside as well. Burnside, you're still driving trucks, right? I hope you're doing well, buddy. And Daryl and everybody. And as the room fills up, it's great to have you. And people are already asking, Bitcoin 85, 86K. And that's the name of the game. So let's address this. So what is the deal? Cheds is the bottom in, right? I still don't know. I've said this, and if you've seen my streams, I try to be consistent. I think consistency is really important. And I've been saying, since really since the beginning of the year, we need to get back up above this price structure here for me to think that the bottom is in. For me to think we're not going to do, 75, 70% drop in prior cycles. Because if you recall, I've been kind of forecasting really 38.7, 35 to 45K, but like a 70K drop. And even though I've been saying that, and I've been saying it since 96K, so I was a little bit late. To call the top. But even though I've been, my best guess, my starting plan is that we're probably going to eventually get there, I still nailed this bottom, and I nailed it for you with you, right? I nailed this bottom here at 60 to 62K ahead of time, right? If you'll remember, I started talking about this if you go to my page, if you go to my Twitter page, I basically told you in early February, I said, okay, like, let's get ready. Let's clean this up. And I said, here you go. Oops. Let's go. I said, here we go. I said, let's get ready. And here we are. And we are, in this candle, we're right at about 76K. Let's go to the daily chart. Let's see. There we go. So here we are. And 76K. It's pretty good. I'm basically saying, like, get ready, right? Get ready at 62K zone. So even though, like, Cheds, what do you mean? Like, and are you trying to have your cake and eat it too? Are you trying to play both sides? Well, you've known me a long time. A good chart technician can articulate a bull and a bear thesis. And even though I'm still, as of right now, still thinking 35, 45K because we haven't cleared 85K yet, I'm still going to look for price structure. I'm still going to look for an obvious local bottom. And I called a local bottom here, and it may turn out to be the long-term bottom. We just don't know yet. But I think it's important to point out that even while I was trying to make a longer-term call, I'm still saying it really makes sense for us to bounce here, right? Because of all this price structure. And it's explained here. I said, be ready. Be ready at the 2021 top and 2024 structure. And then if you go to my pinned tweet, if you want more nuance, you can see there's a video report from the Bitcoin Live member report explaining this. And this is before we dropped. So I feel if this is the bottom, right, I'll feel really good. I'll feel really good that I not only called it ahead of time, I called it live. I told you folks, I said, this is it. Like, this is the bottom here. I basically said, be ready. And then when it happened, we got it. Let's watch, it should hold here. So I feel pretty good about it. I just don't know yet if like the bottom is in overall, and you can't know, like, it's hard to know when, when you call a local top, you can't know that it's the long-term top until a little bit later. Like, for example, I'm often credited with, and I give myself credit, the Obama puts the medal on himself, right? I'm credited with nailing the 2021 top, right? But when I called this top here, I thought it was a local top. I actually thought we were just going to continue, maybe drop from like 65 to 40K and continue, but I was wrong. So I got the local top, right? But I didn't know back here that it was the long-term top, right? Just as when I called this bottom here, it may be the long-term bottom. We don't know yet. And I don't know yet, but that's not going to stop me from saying it's a really good chance we're going to bounce here and set up for a nice swing long trade. And you've had a really nice return. You've already had a very, very nice return, from these levels, right? Like, 30%, right? So I'm just going to overview Bitcoin, and then I want to go right into the chat room because there's some great questions already brewing up and getting ready. So, I can think that it still makes sense to go lower, but I can still take long trades. I can still enjoy trading with the trend, right? And so I need to see it. I'd say I need to see a weekly close above 85K for me to think, okay, the bottom's in. And that's just what I've been saying now for like 3 months. So you can go back and you can check. I say it every stream. People, you can't really accuse me of being vague when I take these opportunities to stop, to put on my orange mask, my Bitcoin shirt, my cheese hat, and I come and I talk to you and I answer all questions. So it's essentially still the same case. It's still the same. This is still essentially the same picture for me as last time we talked here on YouTube. We're just a little bit stronger. We've had more continuation, and now we've recaptured the MA20, and we're flirting with really a longer term bottom, but I need to see 85K flipped. So that will be that. So for people who join later, you can just go back and watch the first 5 minutes of the stream. So Matage says, Cheds, when can we expect a new masterclass? You're not going to get one. That's what the trading encyclopedia is. It's better than a masterclass. Like a masterclass would be a 1 hour long video where I could maybe cover a tiny fraction of this. You now have 335 videos. This is the masterclass. Anything you want to look up. So I was going to make a masterclass, and I realized this is a much better idea, right? There's no way I could do a masterclass and cover all these concepts. It would be like a 7, 8, 10 hour video. Right here, just whatever, 3 white soldiers, horizontal diagonal trading, look at all these concepts. And my book, my recent book, The Trading Journal, is in here, right? Look at this. These are all videos I made for you. It's just a repository of information. So Matej, this is the masterclass, the Trading Encyclopedia. It's actually something that I'm maybe some of the most proud of the work that I've done, in the now, 12 years I've been creating content on X, in the 7 or 8 years on YouTube. I mean, the Trading Encyclopedia, I think should be long lasting. I mean, this is timeless. So that's your masterclass, Matej. Okay, brother? Happy Cinco de Mayo. You too, Kenny. Feliz. Muchas gracias, señor. Usted también. Tariq says, thanks for being here. Thank you. So I answered your question, Pedro. Cliff wants me to look at URA. Yeah. I actually have a position in this uranium ETF. So we'll jump into that. You guys just fire up your questions. I'm going to pull them from the chat. So I have URA. That looks very bullish to me. And if you notice, a lot of other classical charting technicians, in which I am, I also dabble, as you know, in Japanese candlestick theory. I'm somewhat of a, I've got a good knowledge base in that, and a lot of people kind of ask me about that. So this is a nice bullish continuation look here in the weekly. I think this would be best described as an ascending triangle, which is a bullish continuation pattern. Again, I have a video on ascending triangle, so you can go look it up. But this looks good for continuation. Now, again, I have a position. It's not a large position, but I'll at least say that. But in general, I don't ever let my trading or my investments cloud my judgment, at least as far as I'm consciously aware of. Okay, Cliff? So I like URA. It looks really good. Stop loss advice? Well, I mean, you could very reasonably take this recent low here. I mean, with the price response here, you'd want to see that higher low hold, Cliff. Okay. Antonio, thank you. Have a good day, you too. Great to be here. You want to look at Monero? Yeah, Monero's been interesting. So let's slip back over to Monero. I want to scroll through. I'll answer some questions. I'll catch up. And then I'll go over what I want to go to. There's some charts that are interesting. Like Venice is really interesting. And Zcash is really interesting. So I want to cover those for you. Of course, I've been covering all of these, on my Twitter page. But this is an opportunity for a long form discussion. This is an opportunity for me to answer your questions. So let's see what we think about XMR. I mean, that's an important recapture on XMR here. And this is you can describe this as an ascending triangle reversal. Ascending triangles is usually a bullish continuation pattern, but it can act as a reversal pattern, something like what we saw in Ethereum back in the day. Right back here, back in the day. So we had our nice, little ascending triangle reversal on Ethereum back in the day, weekly chart, 2018, through 2020. So XMR is having a nice local break. There's definitely some bull momentum. The price is attempting to and has now rejoined the trend, aka the rising, daily MA200. So Monero looks pretty good. Okay, Daryl says, I'm with you on the 85 flip. Yeah, I mean, you can think about levels of mean reversions, right? You could have, and that's why for me, while I'm waiting for lower and I got long positions here, I'm still watching for hard rejection here, because you could very easily still make it all the way up here and put in the lower high and continue the falling channel structure. But reclaiming this level, it just makes it much more likely that we're going to continue on. And that's just been my line in the sand for months. I'm not going to change my line in the sand. Let me riff through a couple altcoin charts I like, just for the folks who are watching and haven't asked questions. Then I'll get to the questions. People want to talk about oil and stuff like that. But I'll just tell you what I do like. We'll go to the daily chart and let's pull it up. I don't really like Solana. It looks like crap, but I'll just quickly pull it up. Yeah, I'm not really into Solana, not really doing much, but obviously TRX has been amazing. And I've been live tweeting this one, and very clean bullish throwback, and now a lower high break again. So this thing has consistently been one of the best charts here for a couple of years. So that looks really good. Zcash continuing to, let's fix that up a little bit. Sometimes when you get the Bollinger Bands throw everything off. All right. Now Zcash, important lower high break. Here's a nice bullish throwback. You can stop me if you hear like a term you don't know, but I have a video for you. but that's a throwback, a bullish retest. So that looks really good. Zcash looks really good. Hype looks really good here as well, breaking the peak of this W. This has been stair-stepping. If you want to know what stair-stepping is, I have a video specifically on stair-stepping in the Trading Encyclopedia. Amar says, love from Jordan. Thank you, man. It's really nice to see you again, Amar. I hope you're doing well, brother, okay? Venice has just been like amazing. And this is a nice bull rectangle testing the peak. Let's try that again, testing the peak of this structure. So this looks really good. This is poking out, trying to get a new eye. And there it is, a new local high. So I've been live tweeting this one as well. This is a very strong chart. This looks good. JST looks pretty good riding the EMA 8. That's a nice looking chart. Let's see if any of these is okay. You know, Dusk looks decent actually compared to, you know, like some of this other stuff like Solana, right? Dusk looks decent. Lumia, I mean, if it holds here, is reasonable for a base break and throwback. Doge, of course, nice bull break out of a descending triangle. And, you know, going forward, you'd want to see this level hold, right? So that looks pretty good too. So those are just some altcoins, just to wet your whistle. You know, Ethereum, it's, you know, we see Bitcoin's ripping here. Ethereum is still below 2,400. You know, and that's going to be reflected in the weakness in the BTC pair, right? You don't even need a BTC pair to see the fact that this thing is still below breakout level while, you know, Bitcoin is chilling, right? Now, we do have a bull break of a rising wedge, which is notable. I did put out this tweet that we are close to the apex, right, of a rising wedge. You can bullish, we're flirting with a bull break of a rising wedge. You can bear break a bull pattern, you can bull break a bear pattern, and it's notable. You know, it's still, you still need 85K for me. So that's nice. It's nice. You got a local long if you wanted 80K based on that structure. You got long if you wanted on the second time around 76K. First time it, you know, it tripped you out. And there was a couple other spots along the way if you didn't get in on the local bottom, either in the initial weekly overreaction. And this is what we needed. We needed, again, this weekly overreaction, snap back type of bounce. And I explain that. Again, I really recommend everybody go to my Twitter page, X page, whatever you want to call it, and watch this video. And this is me explaining before it happened why we should bounce at 62K. All right, let's get to the questions. Let's see. Let's see. Bitcoin a million. Absolutely. Have a good day. Thank you, Antonio. I looked at Monero. Okay, Simply. So what if this was the bottom and how would you adjust? Thank you for your question, Simply Rustic Nevada. So what if this was the bottom and how would you adjust for spot buying long-term options? Well, because my plan was to buy lower. It's a great question. Well, like if you're buying long-term, why not just buy? Buy dollar cost average and don't try to time the price. Like if you're buying long-term, right? Just dollar cost average, okay? Number one. Number two, or you can start to accumulate if the price gets acceptance back up into this range, right? I'm still trying to get acceptance for my wife. That's another joke, right? But, I mean, if the price can reclaim over this level, you can accumulate here and maybe set a stop loss at like 83, 84K. So you can use that and you say, okay, if it's long, if you're not comfortable with, you're not content with just buying some every week, which is reasonable, dollar cost averaging. If you're looking to, you know, spot accumulate with some managed risk, then just start, if it can flip 85, it starts to flip 85, you know, then you can start to use that as your level, right? So that's, you have to decide how you want to play it, brother, okay? That should answer your question a little bit, Simply Rustic. It's Sometimes Right says, love it, Cheds. Fantastic straight talk as always. Appreciate you. I think your name describes me. Sometimes right, sometimes wrong, just like anybody else. Matage says, I watch all of your videos. Thank you, man. Yeah, the trading, there's no masterclass. By the way, the ones I have, these 3 videos are great, or the 4 videos, but there's no new masterclass I can make that would provide any more alpha than I have here in the Trading Encyclopedia. I have my entire book, Trading Wisdom, in the Trading Encyclopedia. My new book, The Trading Journal, in the Encyclopedia. My third book, Trading Quotes, in the Encyclopedia for you, okay? Do you think you can do this now, a V-shape like the S&P 500? Pedro, what do you mean, brother? V-shape for what? Can you give me a little more information? Now, you mentioned the S&P. We'll just kind of jump around a little bit, look at equities markets. I mean, this is a shocking V bounce with a break, with an all-time high break, and not rejecting here, which is notable. Impressive. Now, it's not like shocking because it's just priced with trend, right? And trends tend to continue. That's the rule. And it's one of those things in your trading. If you find you're struggling, make sure you're not like just shorting uptrends or trying to reverse downtrends, right? Just make sure your trade is aligned with the trend, which is this blue line in classical charting. It's the simple moving average, 200 period, equally weighted. Martin wants to look at oil. We'll look at West Texas crude. We can look at USO as well. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, why isn't oil higher? I mean, it's pretty high right now. This is clearly some consolidation, favoring bulls, trading here above 84, 85 in the West Texas crude. In USO, I mean, this is just a strong continuation look as well. This looks like it wants to go higher. So, based on the technicals from just these two charts, this tells you oil's going higher, okay? Luis says, tu español es muy bueno. Your Spanish on point. Muchas gracias, señor. Estoy aprendiendo. It means I'm learning. Lunk and Aster. Sure, let's take a look at those. Let's see if I have any. I think I have Aster on this list. Here we got Aster. Let's add Lunk to it, which it's funny. LUNC, it reminds you of Unk. I get my kids calling me an Unk. Let's go to LUNC. We'll add this to the list. It's almost like lunch, which is I will have later. Let's see. Wow. Okay, so what is this? Luna Classic, right? All right, so what do we do, right? Here's a good example of putting into context price movement. Like if you just opened up this chart, you think, man, this thing is on fire. It's going to all-time highs. Did I just hit favorite? I didn't want to do that. This is going to all-time highs. Look at this beautiful base break. But you zoom out, you're like, oh, okay. So what you want to do when you have this is let's drop to weekly. Let's go back to weekly. And now we see interesting. Strong bounce into the trend. What is the trend? Well, the trend's MA200, but you can draw this little diagonal and say this is a descending supply trend. The difference is you've got a little bit more momentum here than prior attempts. Save this attempt. The November thrust, if you will, into this level was pretty strong. It did give you a good short, though, on the up thrust, and you got a dual up thrust there in 2024. So you have a strong bounce into the trend. And so you'd say, okay, if we're going to continue, if we're going to stair step, right, that's what hype has been doing, if we remember. That's what hype has been doing, right? Hype has been stair stepping. It's been breaking out, retesting, building that rising demand. So LUNC is actually kind of interesting. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. I think there's reason for enthusiasm. The reason for optimism, perhaps, is a better word, as long as the price can hold above the 0.0008 area or 7.8 area here. So this is actually kind of interesting. It's not really my kind of play because it's still a downtrend, albeit an unconfirmed one. But this is notable, a little bit of volume. It's got a very good start. If I'm trading this, I would wait and see and maybe take a retest. And that's where I would play from and I would define my risk, something like that. Okay, and that's Lunk. Here's Aster. This thing looks like nothing's going on. So, Aster, nothing happening. You could probably delete this one from the watch list. There's nothing really to talk about, but LUNC is actually kind of interesting. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. Let's see. Patty McLean says, thoughts on Tesla. Thank you for your work. Well, thank you for your attendance. Thank you for being here. If it's just me talking into a microphone, it's kind of boring, but I love interacting with you folks. It's not just a two-way street. It's a multi-way street. We're in this together. Now, Tesla had been watching a bit, not tweeting as much, but for me, the fact that it's above 380 is important. Lost support generally will turn into resistance, right? and it's a little bit too big of a circle, right? So lost support generally will turn into resistance, and there you go. Wasn't the case. I would have expected the rejection here, and it didn't happen because it failed to hold here recently, back at the end of April. So I think I want to see this level hold going forward, 380. And if that's the case, I think this has a pretty good chance of making a move, towards kind of this 435 level. So I would very closely be watching price response at 380. Mike Rogers says, thanks for the stream. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, my friend. Really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you know that. I hope you can tell by my voice that I appreciate you. If I have the time, I do have the time, Daryl. You want me to, time is precious, but you are precious, and we're here together. Coreweave, let's take a look. Nope, that's not the one I want. That's a USD pair, synthetic pair. Let's go back to Coreweave. Okay, let's clean that up. Random note, interesting. What do we think about this one? Clearly, it's still in a long-term consolidation. You can see that, right? And that's evidenced, if you will, by the sideways MA200. There is, arguably no trend right now, right? It's just sideways. Now, what you have is clues of momentum, volume spike and accumulation, lower high break, two-level filter break, if you will, two-level filter break. What is the two-level filter? Well, it's a technique I employ, I teach, I talk about, and luckily for you, I have a video on. And it's the idea that when you have a downtrend, when do you jump in a downtrend? And because you don't want to get into a situation where, the price is doing this, and then it just breaks the diagonal, and you go long, right? And I think a lot of people do that. And what happens ends up doing something like this, and then you're just stuck, and you're holding it, and now you're a community member. Okay, well, what you want to do is employ a two-level filter. This is your first level, the diagonal trend. The second would be a recapture of kind of a notable lower high. And here you'd have, this is a lower high corresponding with lost support. So in a situation like this, rather than jumping in the diagonal, if you wait until price recaptures that important level, you can manage your risk. I'm long as and until this level would hold, right? That's a two-level filter, and you essentially have that here. And whether you took a more aggressive one at 87 or here at 100, and notably, you had a bullish throwback, there's some mojo here. So there's some local mojo. What does local mean? Again, I have a video on every term I use. Local's nearby, right? And you're trying to, because you don't have a trend long-term, because, in this period we have since April, there's no actual trend. It's sideways. You're looking at local momentum's pretty strong. So you just want to see 100 hold, bottom line. It's got a little bit of local momentum, but don't get too excited yet because it's still in a consolidating trend. Could easily reject, come back, and do this for a while. Okay. You're welcome, Simply Rustic. Pedro says, for people that are not exposed, you're talking about Bitcoin, right? Let's go back to Bitcoin. So for people that are not exposed, because the question is all often like, what's the next best trade, right? What is the next best trade? And when you say not exposed, well, what are you doing? Are you trying to buy like 2% allocation? Are you trying to make a trade where you can flip leverage? Are you trying to dollar cost average? Like, not exposed. It's not everyone wants to get exposed in the same way, right? And I'm not saying take your clothes off, right? Which can be fun, of course. But it's like, are you just looking for a trade? Well, sure, you could trade a retest of 80K. Like, that's easy. Okay, like that's the most clear, next best trade. Like, great. Recapture of 85K. If the price can get back up above that and take a long trigger there, sure, that's also quite reasonable. But what's your style? What are you trying to do? So the question for the people who are not exposed, do you think the best long is the 85K breakout? I think that's reasonable, but throwback and retest is also reasonable. If you observe, I like to use that word, you've had throwbacks here. You've had throwbacks. You've had the price retesting. So why not just wait for a retest of 80K? Take along there. If it can't hold like 79K, you abandon the trade. Pedro, okay? To answer your question. Mike, you're welcome. Mike. Antonio says you're in Argentina. You love when I talk Spanish. Awesome. Thank you, senor. ICP, yes, the famous Internet Connection Protocol. It's got a cool name. It's been kind of a garbage chart. I don't have it in this list. I want to build back up this list. This is kind of like random altcoin lists. I certainly am familiar with ICP. Let's take a look at it. I mean, not familiar with like it as a project. It's not. Oh, I had it on my list. But let's see here. I don't have the chart in mind. Like if I was to tell you what it's doing, a lot of charts I just know in my brain. I don't look at this one that often. Let's pull it up. Yeah, it's a terrible chart. Terrible chart. I think I would just delete it from the watch list. Honestly, my first reaction is, you see I showed you some other stronger. Who asked here? Siphon, right? I showed you a bunch of stronger altcoin charts already. Zcash, Hype, even Doge. Bitcoin's ripping, looking strong. Like if this is doing this, why are you even watching it? Delete. I would delete it from the watch list and play something else. Hate the chart. Let's go to Pepe. Pepe was requested. Yeah, interesting. I don't like it as much, but clearly there's a potential momentum trigger. I am a trader. I do look for levels. Like, for example, Fartcoin has a similar setup. You see this very well-described support-resistance flip level. I tweeted this out as well. So, like, for example, Fartcoin can flip 23 cents. That's a long. So you have a little bit of that going here for, my brain is drifting. Pepe, sorry. Yeah, a little bit of that here is the case. So I don't really like the chart that much. It is a downtrend. And if this does break out from here, it's probably just into like a lower high somewhere. But from a technique standpoint, you have all these interactions with price, making the level more important to watch. Now you have what's a concept called price distance in between the peak and the trough of the structure. And then you have time interval in between the attempts. Again, I have a video specifically on these concepts. Price distance, time interval, how a level forms, all that stuff. And I really just encourage you folks to peruse the encyclopedia. All right. So I'm actually kind of caught up on questions. Let me scroll back. You want to see Cosmos Energy? Sure. Is this a real chart or an altcoin? Cosmos Energy. Cosmos. I wonder if this is no, that's Seinfeld. Sorry. I was thinking that's Cosmo. Yeah, that's an interesting move. Very, very interesting move here. Let's go to the weekly chart and put it in perspective. Interesting. Okay. It's had a nice move off of bottom. And you saw, maybe not an unreasonable response in price as it tested the, 2020 lows. Then you had this important recapture, rendering this as a spring or a false breakdown, and then a lower high break. So the progression is notable. The progression, red light, orange, and green now. You do have a green light. I would have a pretty tight leash, though, on it. It's heading into a big resistance cluster just above. I would just want to see 235, 240 hold. This is a very strong move. It's riding EMA 8. For momentum, I would just keep an eye on this, 225 to 230 area and see if it can hold there. And it is likely to retest, all right, if it attempts to continue. Tyler says, Cheds, take a look at SanDisk and Micron. Yeah, those are ridiculous. I've got SanDisk on this watch list. I don't know if I have Micron on here. SanDisk maybe in the bottom. There we go. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be CMT like me to look at this thing and say that's just an insane move. This is what altcoin charts used to look like. And I did put out that tweet, so I'm borrowing from myself, if you will, but this is just an insane looking price advance. Now, what is Micron doing? Okay. I hope everybody's doing well, by the way. Yeah, Micron, look at that. Beautiful break from a broadening from Megaphone, too. Beautiful break out of that. We zoom out. Yeah, I mean, this thing is forget about it. So, beautiful, beautiful move. Incredibly, incredibly strong. You said they're making you too much money that you're nervous. Well, you may be surprised, but I have a quote for that. I may or may not have, if you can see, there, I published a book on quotes, and one of them is if you enter a play, and this isn't exactly the exact quote, but if you enter a play and you feel nervous, you probably have too much money in that play. I have another quote where it's every time you take profit or a little bit of loss, it makes your remaining decisions easier because they represent a smaller position, a smaller percentage of your risk assets. So why not sell, if you're nervous here, why not sell like 10%, 15% of your position? And see how you feel. Sell a little bit. Trim some profit. Pay yourself for a good idea. There are many schools of thought in this. There's people who will vehemently disagree with me, and that's okay. Like, I'm not here to claim I'm the best, trader or investor or I'm probably somewhere in the middle, right? But I just understand emotions, and I understand risk management to some extent. And I just believe that just smaller positions are easier to manage. So just scale in, scale out, take a little profit if you're nervous. Chad, what's up, Chad? What's up, Tamir? Says, hey, Chad, can you look at Dash? Sure. I don't know if I have it on this watch list. I don't think I do. Let's add Dash. Thank you for reminding me as I repopulate this altcoin list. Go back to crypto. We'll go to Dash. Let's go there. Let's get rid of this play. So it's on energy, on altcoins. What is going on with Dash? I have not looked at Dash in a little while. It's just nothing too much going on here. It is basically sideways. I don't like this choppiness. I don't like these, breaks and failed holds here. So I generally would say I don't like this chart. I don't hate it because it generally just looks sideways, but I just don't see bull momentum here. I wouldn't cover it. This isn't the kind of chart I would cover voluntarily. I've already, hey, Rational, I've already covered Tesla. So you may want to go back and review the earlier part of the video. So I have already covered Tesla. I talked about, I'll just give you a quick TLDR, but I did already cover Tesla, and I talked about the important recapture here and wanting to see it hold, above 385 going forward. But I've already covered Tesla, so you may want to go back and take a look at that. All in on Fartcoin. There you go, brother. Can I look at Chainlink? Sure. Let's take a look at Chainlink. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's kind of got, I didn't mention, but Ondo had a nice breakout. And this reminds me of Ondo. And I tweeted this out ahead of time. I tweeted out, price approaching key level, and then we had a nice breakout. And this is kind of looks like pre-breakout, pre-breakout Ondo, at least, if you will. Hasn't quite done it yet, but it is priced now approaching local range peak. It is a downtrend. I wouldn't be super excited, but it has at least the concept of price interaction with the key level. What does that mean? Well, if it breaks out from here, you can manage your risk and say, I'm long if it holds above 980, for example, right? So, the danger is a bounce is probably just going to put in a lower high somewhere. So it's unlikely to be a longer term bottom. It is a bad chart. There's just not a lot going on. It's kind of in no man's land too. You probably would think it goes down here before ultimately bottoming. So, but the one thing it does have going for it is price interaction with the key level, okay? You said you want a DCA 2 years on this, Rustic? Why? Like, what are you talking about? You want a dollar cost average this? If you want, I just think there's a trillion better choices. Why don't you buy Hype or something? Or maybe Solana, maybe not, but like, why this one? This is just nothing. It's not like an investment advice, but just, I don't understand dollar cost averaging this chart at all. I just don't understand. The top may be in it. Probably, it may never reach an all-time high. It probably won't. It's just a bad chart. I don't like it. So I don't understand the whole, let's dollar cost average this chart. Like, you don't dollar cost average every chart. Like, you dollar cost average an uptrend like Bitcoin. If you don't want to try to nail the tops and bottoms, okay? Thanks for getting my iron fetch, bro. Been in and out of it last week. Yeah, not a great looking chart. There's some nice short setups. Short setup here on the loss of 22.7, but I don't like this chart. I would, hopefully you're not, taking long exposure. I don't like that chart. Okay. let's get back to the meat and the potatoes. So we have Bitcoin giving you not only long recently at 76K, gave you long at 80K. You got a major test above, right? You got a major test here, 85K zone. Cheds, is the bottom in? Were you wrong? I could very well be wrong about the longer term bottom, right? About the long-term bottom being somewhere in this range. But I can live with that because I called this local bottom ahead of time and as it happened. Go ahead and you can review my Twitter page. You can see my tweet telling you to get ready, explaining why. And then when we were bottoming, basically saying like it should hold here. So, the point I want to make is you can have a longer term guess of the cyclicality, but you can still pay attention if you're a good chart technician for opportunities and understand that even if it's going to 40K, it's not going to break through 60K immediately. It's probably going to bounce there, and that's what happens. So if this was the bottom, I'm feeling great. I can live with it. Some people say you nailed it. Some people say you did horribly, and I'm okay with that because I think this is a great call, and I'm very proud of it. And but I'm not going to change my longer term call until I get more information, and I'm consistent. I've said for 3 months until we reclaim 85K, and I'm going to say a weekly close as my confirmation method, right? Well, how do you confirm it? Again, you can decide your own confirmation method. You go to the trading encyclopedia, confirmation, how do I confirm a breakout, right? And if and when and until we would flip that, for me, it's going to need that for me to start to think, okay, we're not going to 40K, right? And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, having taken some long exposure in the low 60K range, and knowing that I try to be a good shepherd, a good steward, and knowing that even though a lot of people were like, "Hey, Cheds, I know you want lower, but I let you know this is going to bounce here. We should bounce here," and I feel like I'm doing a good job trying to add value to this space. That's all we can do. There are people who are predatory. There are people who are this and that. I am trying to add value. I've gained so much value. I've made friends. I've had a great experience, and I want to continue to add value. So along those lines, that's why I continue to stream. I love the fact that you folks will come and let me ramble, throw on an orange mask. I pretty much answered every question. That's why if you're seeing this replay, you should come next time, ask your questions. I love to engage with you. Make sure you're checking me out on Twitter, all the great stuff on YouTube, on my channel, Bitcoin Live. I'm a founding analyst. I haven't missed a video. I do twice a week full market report. I haven't skipped in 7 years. Literally, I'm on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean, Bitcoin Live report. Again, I should mention the tweet. This stream is sponsored by Alpha X, which is backed by BingX. I've had a relationship with them for 6 years. It's a really nice decentralized exchange. If you're looking for somewhere to trade, no KYC, check it out. And this is sponsored. This stream is sponsored by them, so I'm just telling you straight up. In the meantime, I try to be active on Twitter. I love your feedback, good, bad, and ugly. Tell me what I got right, what I got wrong. I just want to keep adding value. I hope you see it that way, and I want you to know that I really appreciate you. The fact that you're here and you're listening to me, I think that's awesome. So, muchas gracias, amigos, and molto obrigado if you speak Portuguese, and muchas gracias. Merci, très bien, merci, mes amis. Thank you, my friends, in French. So anyway, folks, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me, listening to me ramble. I'm going to go do some yard work and watch the charts. But folks, thank you so much. Let's dance. Church of Eight Wheels. Now you know what my thoughts are. Short term, long term. Ethereum needs 2,400, by the way. If it gets 2,400, that's a breakout. My thoughts are here. Now you know what I think. And I love you guys too. Thank you, Pedro. Let's do this.